In this video, I'm going to share with you a few of my biggest tips when it comes to batch creating your social media content. Hey everybody, Katie Lance here, founder and CEO of Katie Lance Consulting, the Get Social Smart Academy, and author of the book, Get Social Smart. It's episode 247 of the Get Social Smart show, and I'm so excited to come to you today and talk about one of my favorite subjects, batch creating content. So what the heck is batch creating content? Well, if you follow me here on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're watching this, I'm a big believer when it comes to content. If I'm going to do my hair and makeup and sit down and record one video, I might as well record 3 or 4 or 5 or multiple videos all in one shot. And as I was preparing for this video, I was doing a little bit of research to see when have I talked about batch recording content, and honestly I have talked about it a lot over on our channel, but specifically back in 2017 I did a video all about batching content. We will link that somewhere in the video so you can check that out. And I thought, gosh, it's been a number of years, right? So let's revisit the subject. So in this video I'm going to share with you 3 big tips for how we have been batching content. I've been doing this for at least, probably about 5 years when it comes to our videos. We also do this for our podcasts. We also do this for a lot of the graphics that we create. So I'm going to share with you 3 big tips, and then at the end of the video I've got some ideas. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I need some ideas, I'm going to share with you those as well at the end of the video. Let's get on with it. Tip number 1, think ahead. This is what it's all about. If I have not put on my schedule this idea of batching content, it would have never happened, right? So one of the ways to think ahead is to think about what type of content you want to create. Now, I am a huge believer in video content because video really helps us tell the story of what does it feel like to work with you, right? What is your personality and what is your expertise? And I know for a lot of folks, when it comes to getting on camera, we don't always like how we look or how we sound. We're not sure how to do it, so then we don't do it. And I know some of you have heard me say this before, but I had a good friend of mine a few years ago who very lovingly reminded me, she's like, Katie, that's how you look and that's how you sound, so you got to get over it. So I will lovingly tell you the same thing. So in terms of batching content, we need to think ahead. So we want to think, how often do we want to release content on social media? So for us, one of the things we try to do is release a new video each and every week. Now we do it every Wednesday, and by the way, if you are watching this over on YouTube and you didn't realize that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit subscribe so you're always notified when we have new videos. Okay, shameless plug. So we release videos every Wednesday. So one of the ways we batch create our content is we look ahead. So typically around the middle of the month, typically around like the 15th to the 20th of the month, I will look ahead, and we'll look ahead to see how many Wednesdays are in the following month. Now some months have 4, some months have 5, and that determines how many we record all in one shot. So I like to kind of shoot for the month ahead, typically around the 15th to the 20th of the month. And what I simply do is I look at my schedule for that month, and I look at that time period somewhere between the 15th and the 20th, and I block out at least a couple hours. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in just a minute here. But we block out a couple hours for a number of things, from getting prepared to notes and all that good stuff. But if it's not on your schedule, it's not going to happen. And I can just tell you from experience, you've got to treat this appointment as important as anything else, as important as any other appointment you would schedule for yourself. So that's number 1, think ahead. And by the way, I used to change outfits. People ask me this all the time. They're like, do you change outfits? I used to. I like to get in, get it done, in and out quickly. So I don't change outfits. So spoiler alert, if you're on our channel, you'll see some repeating of outfits, but it's all good, right? So think ahead. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, be prepared. So when it comes to being prepared, one of the ways to really batch a lot of content quickly and easily is you've got to think ahead. So there's a few things that we do. At the end of the year, we usually sit down and we plan the following year. I will sit down with our team, we will map out an editorial calendar, and we will brainstorm questions that we get asked all the time, topics we could talk about, topics that come up with clients, or topics that come up in our Academy Facebook group, topics as we weed through email and through social media. And we come up with a whole list of ideas. Now, that's not to say things can't change. Over the last year and a half, if things changed in the world, we kind of moved topics around, of course, but we have to be prepared when it comes to content. So I'm never just sitting down going, what am I going to record today? I've already mapped it out many months ago. Now, the other piece of being prepared, by the way, is thinking about topics that are timeless, right? So I know in real estate, a lot of you are creating videos that are really timely, which is fine, right? Market reports, maybe you're doing videos around specific listings or open houses, and that is awesome. But what we are talking about here today is batching content that is somewhat timeless or evergreen, because the bigger picture is that you are creating a library of content. You're creating a library of content that's bigger than YouTube, bigger than Facebook, bigger than Instagram. Social media is rented ground, right? We don't own it. And so as we think about being here for the long term, right? As we think about what the long-term impacts of creating video content on a consistent basis, one of the ways to have that long-term longevity is to think about timeless topics. Things like who pays for what, or what's the difference between this community and this community, or the top 3 questions you should ask your lender. Again, those timeless topics, super important. So we want to be prepared with our topics. We also want to be prepared with our notes. Now, I don't script my videos. A lot of people ask me that. I like to think about video content as something that I'm comfortable talking about. I'm not talking about a subject that I know nothing about. So think about if you're at a dinner party and someone asks you a question, what could you say off the cuff that you'd be comfortable talking about? What's your expertise? Stay in your lane. So I do like to put a couple notes down. I'll usually pull up a Word document or a Google Doc, and I'll just have a couple bullet points. I will have it nearby when I'm doing my videos, and that way I can shoot and look at my content and be prepared. I also say it out loud a few times. I like to multitask, so as I'm getting ready, I will typically review my notes, just prepare a little bit. There's something to be said about saying something out loud, and just like anything else, the more you do it, the easier it gets. The last thing I'll just say really quick about being prepared, and then I've got tip number 3 coming up, is that you want to be prepared in terms of your setup. So I typically will record videos in this room, or often we'll do it in our office, but we're not reinventing the wheel every single time. We have a set camera we use, we have a set light we use, we have a set mic. By the way, a lot of that equipment we will link below in our show notes so you can check that out. But we're not, again, reinventing the wheel every single time. It's all about being prepared. And so when we can set aside those 2 hours for hair and makeup, for recording, for anything that's required, we can do it most efficiently. Tip number 3, look at your life as content. So I mentioned a second ago this idea of creating timeless or evergreen content, but I also think there is a value in looking at your life as content. And we typically do this quite a lot here, but also over on our podcast. Now, I will say our podcast is a little bit trickier to batch record because a lot of times we're doing interviews, and when you're doing interviews, those can take a little bit more time. And so sometimes we're only batching, maybe 2 in one day, or 2 or 3. So you have to kind of look at the time commitment and what the content is that you're creating. But there's definitely some value in looking at your life as content. If you're watching a great movie or a great TV show, or something comes up in your life, inserting that as an example, as a story, as an analogy, it helps you to stay relevant. It helps to really bring in your personality to your videos, and it helps to keep things fresh as well. So it's nice to have a balance, like I said, of evergreen and timeless content, but also some things that are timely and in the moment as well. So look at your life as content. Okay, so we've given you a few tips. Now I want to give you a few ideas for batching content, because again, you might be listening to this going, well, that sounds great, but I need some ideas. Okay, so I'm going to share with you 2 big ideas. The first, not surprising, is video content, right? And I know, as I said before, we don't always like how we look, we don't always like getting on camera. Honestly, it's one of the best forms of communication. It's one of the best forms of content. So video content, as I said earlier, I would encourage you to brainstorm the questions you get asked all the time. In fact, if you're in real estate, I would say brainstorm the last maybe 5 or 10 clients that you've worked with, right? Who are the last 5 to 10 clients that you've worked with? Make a list, and then make a list of all the topics that came up when you worked with those clients. Were they, first-time home buyers? Were they, investors? Were they, moving from out of the area? They were relocation clients. What is it about them? What conversations came up? And if you're new to real estate, you probably have a lot of questions yourself. So what are the questions you're answering, you're learning on your journey as well? So brainstorm questions you get asked all the time. That is first and foremost. It's a small thing that makes a huge difference. The next tip I can give you when it comes to ideas are graphics. So I know we've talked a lot about video in this video right here about batching content for social media, but another way that you can batch content for social media is using Canva. And we did a great video a little while back all about Canva basics. I'm going to link that below in the show notes so you can check that out. That's a really, really helpful video because Canva is awesome for batching graphics and content in general. And by the way, you can also use Canva now for video, which is awesome. You can actually record video within Canva, edit video within Canva. Awesome, game changer. So one of the ways that our Academy members batch create content with Canva is through specific graphics. So I'll give you an example. Let's say every Monday you want to do a Monday motivation. So you could go into Canva, you could search templates, you could search motivational templates or quote templates. Find one that you like, go to Google, find some great quotes that you like. Maybe you want to find one from Maya Angelou or whoever you want to find a great quote from. You can grab those quotes, copy and paste those, put those onto your graphic on Canva, and then you can just duplicate that same template over and over and over again. You can change them to your brand colors, add your logo, and now you're not reinventing the wheel every single motivational Monday. Same template, just a different quote on top of it. So imagine doing this for your favorite 10 quotes that you have. Well, now you have 10 pieces of content for the next 10 weeks, right? You can also do this with, say, Tip Tuesday, or maybe you want to do a Throwback Thursday or a Feature Friday where you're featuring a local business. So think ahead a little bit in terms of your frequency with your content, and then you want to think about how can you batch create that, whether it's through graphics or video or both. All right, I would love to hear from you. Are you batch creating your social media content? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to connect with you and answer any questions you might have about batch creating your social media content. So let me know in the comments below. As I mentioned earlier, if you enjoy our videos, we would love if you'd hit that subscribe button and the bell button, because that's going to give you notifications every time we have a new video, especially up on YouTube. And last but not least, if you're listening to this going, okay, I really need to get a handle on my social media strategy, we have a great free resource library. If you have not checked it out yet, I invite you to go to katielance.com/freebies. katielance.com/freebies. You'll see all of our free resources from YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever you need help with. We've got some great free resources for you over there. All right, my friends, let's get batching your content. I can't wait to see what you create. Until next time, bye for now.